Hi guys, my name is Dr. Dania Al-Tamimi and I am a junior doctor currently working in London. I am a F3 or junior clinical fellow and I'm currently working in paediatrics. So today I'm going to be speaking to you about two different topics, but I feel like these two topics do actually overlap slightly and do actually complement each other and go hand in hand. So the first topic I'm going to be speaking to you about is tips on dealing with long night shifts. And I feel like I'm quite good at sort of reflecting on how life was as an F1 and dealing with night shifts as an F1, and then now transitioning into F2 and now F3, and the difference in approach towards long night shifts. I've worked night shifts on surgical rotations and on medical rotations, and they are slightly different. So I'm going to be speaking to you a bit about what I think are the best ways that you could actually prepare yourself as an F1, F2 or F3 prior to your night shift. So firstly, what is a night shift? So a night shift typically runs from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and at 8 p.m, that's when you would start your shift and you would attend handover. Handover is extremely important, and if you're attending handover, it's usually run by consultants or registrars, and you're going to be going through lists of patients that are relevant to you on your night shift. Particularly patients that are unwell, new patients that are coming in through, for example, medical take, or new patients that have been admitted onto the ward that are particularly unwell or need to be seen during the night. So handover usually lasts for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It depends on how many patients that they need to sort of go through. And it's really important, and my number one tip for this is to make sure that you have multiple pens at the ready and paper, whether that's a little notebook or that's just sheets of paper. I always found that little notebooks are quite handy because you can slot them into your pockets. And with sort of spare paper, it's very easy to lose them on the wards or just around. So it's always good to just have a reliable piece of paper at hand where all of your notes are jotted down in a constructive and concise way. So you already know where to start on your night shift. That's really important. So pens and paper for sure are really important to have, which may seem basic, but they're extremely important. 2, food. So you are human at the end of the day and you need energy to survive the long night shift. It is 12 hours and it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to sleep on your night shift at all because you don't know how busy it's going to be. You're going to need food and you're going to need water or some type of drink. I don't recommend energy drinks or even necessarily coffee on night shifts because I feel like you really do get that spike of sort of energy, and then you sort of run into the trouble of towards the end of your shift sort of phasing out and feeling really flat. I just stay hydrated and I drink loads of water on my night shifts. I would usually have tea or coffee before the night shift, so maybe around sort of 6, but very rarely on the shift itself because it's very easy to sort of plateau towards the end, and you don't feel particularly great doing that. Food is so important. If you can meal prep, it's probably the easiest thing because unfortunately I've not faced any NHS trust which has food on site available for you to actually go and buy at the time. There may be vending machines, you may be able to order on site, but I would bring your own supply of food just in case you don't either have the time to grab food from somewhere or there is nowhere available. So there's always areas, kitchens around, either on the ward or in the mess where you can heat up your food, but it's really important. And it's always good to break up your night shift, where we call it sort of lunch, around 2-3 a.m, where you can sort of quickly have your lunch, have your sort of water, refresh, and then get going again. In terms of my top tips about the type of food you should eat: nuts, fruits, veggies, protein, carbs. So a sort of full range of foods which are really going to help you and boost your energy towards your shift and throughout your shift. Also snacks like cereal bars are so good, fruit to snack on are amazing, nuts to snack on are amazing, just to try and give you that energy boost. Even a chocolate bar, better than a caffeine boost in my opinion. But you know, we are all human. I think towards the end of a 5 sort of night shift, you are very tempted to have that quick shot of coffee or quick shot of energy drink. But just be aware that it's very common to have that sort of plateau. My other top tip is making sure that you pace yourself throughout the night. So when you're, for example, on medical take and you're seeing new patients that are coming through A&E, it's really important to make sure that you're sort of keeping on track of your time and keeping on track of how many patients you're able to see within those time limits. And if you're not able to sort of keep on top of your work, definitely escalate it. There's always people around that you can get help from, for example, registrars, or see more sort of senior SHOs if you're an F1 or an even F2. So if you feel like you need the workload to be divided, it's really important to work as a team. So on a night shift, typically you'd have a registrar and a consultant on site, but either on site or off site, more commonly off site, that are available on the phone to contact if need be. But your first point of call is your registrar if you have any issues. It's super important to manage your time well, because during the night it can be quite fast paced, and ultimately we usually form sort of WhatsApp groups during the night, so you have immediate contact with all of your team members. So that's another top tip I would have. As well as that, just making sure that if you are able to sleep, setting an alarm, and also making sure that your bleep is near you and you are still accessible if you are going to have a nap. Because obviously you're still expected to answer your bleeps, even if you do have a couple of minutes or half an hour to an hour where you can actually just shut off and sleep. But that is quite variable. I'm going to move on to the next topic now, which I'm going to talk about. And so that's actually tips on dealing with burnout. Now, the reason I felt like these two topics overlap slightly is because on a night shift, you typically on a rota would have either 4 nights in a row or 3 nights in a row. So that'll be a Monday to Thursday night, or a Friday to Sunday night. You do have day zeros in between, so you'd have a day zero before your night shift and then after your night shift, where you're not expected to work at all, and that's where you're expected to bring your sort of sleeping cycle back to its normal routine, and just recharge and rest your body. And the reason why I felt like this would particularly merge well with night shifts is because I think that you don't actually realise how flat you can become on shifts until after the shift is over. I think when you're on a shift and it's very fast paced, your adrenaline is going. Even if you don't have that time to eat or drink, it can really affect you. And you only really see the effect it's having on your body at the end, whether that's fatigue, weight loss, mental health struggles, so dealing with stress and anxiety, and that be from physical pressures of the job itself, because it is physically demanding, running from ward to ward or from bay to bay, and floor to floor in a hospital, but also mentally draining, having to see difficult cases back to back, whether that be a mental health case or a physical health case. You don't know what you're going to be faced with all the time, and so that can be mentally draining too. So my top tips for dealing with burnout would definitely be to differentiate yourself as a doctor within work and you as a person outside of work. Hospitals are 24/7, they are non-stop, hence why there's day shifts, there's night shifts, and the hospital's always going. You could receive emails outside of work, WhatsApp outside of work, calls outside of work, but it's extremely important to know when to shut off and when to say no. And that's actually something which I wasn't great at as an F1, but definitely learned as an F2. And it took me going through things with my educational supervisor to realise that saying no is not a weakness. And actually, it's quite empowering to be able to say, yes, I can do that, but then actually managing your time properly and saying, actually, no, that quip, that audit is not something that I can work on at the moment because I've already got too much that I'm juggling, too much on my plate. And so definitely learning how to say no is one of my first top tips of how to deal with burnout. Being very self-aware in terms of time management and being able to schedule yourself in an organised manner with what you can achieve inside of work, but also what you can achieve outside of work. And outside of work should not be related to work whatsoever. So your life outside of work, whether that be sports, arts, fashion, social media, business, whatever it is that keeps you ticking outside of work, keeps you stimulated outside of work, keeps you motivated outside of work, I would definitely say continue doing as much as you can. Try not to let the job itself engross you. And if it does, my best advice is to try and find someone trusting that you can vocalise this with. I found going through my education clinical supervisors were extremely supportive, and I feel like they know more than you think, and they're very, very aware of life as a junior and how difficult it can be to step up from medical student to F1 and F2. And so they're definitely a great sort of point of contact if you are experiencing burnout and feel like you can't cope. Family or friends, they may not necessarily understand what you're going through, but sometimes it's good to get a different perspective on you as a person and medicine outside of someone that is not within the remit and that works within your workplace. They also should know you as a person, and they should be able to hopefully help you with tips on how you can achieve ways in which you can deal with stress, but also deal with anxiety. There are a lot of anxiety inducing events that you're going to face as a doctor, whether that be certifying death for the first time, whether that be facing a difficult patient or a difficult family member. And this is part of the job, and it's extremely important to keep up your social network with family, friends, and make sure that you're not isolating yourself away from people that are actually going to be there to support you, which can be hard when your job is extremely demanding and is very time consuming, but it's extremely important to have those people at hand and develop your network where you do have support around you and a support bubble. Your colleagues are also great to lean on because they're probably going through exactly the same things as you, and it won't make you feel as alone as you may feel like at the time. With burnout, I would definitely say it's so important to keep up with eating well, drinking well, sleeping well, but also doing things that just make you completely relax as an individual. So things like yoga, things like reading, things like listening to music, things that, you know, you may not have tried before work, but you'd actually be surprised could actually start helping with your mental health and relieving stress and anxiety outside of work. I would definitely say that if you feel like work and burnout is actually affecting you as a person and your day-to-day life, so much so that it's destructing your health, you know, your own physical and mental health, seek help from a doctor, seek help from a GP or from a consultant at work, because your work should not be something that is destructive, and that's extremely important to remember. And nobody around you would feel or think anything less of you within the workplace if that were to be the route that you would need to take for yourself, especially in this day and age. I would also definitely say, in terms of tips of dealing with burnout, is making sure that if you are looking to book things like locum shifts or extra work outside, like I was saying at the start, being aware of your own boundaries and your own capabilities, and only doing things if you know that within yourself you can actually manage them. Because sometimes it is difficult when it comes to how much money you may be getting as a junior doctor, with the cost of living going up, with the pressures that you may be feeling. But I would definitely say only accept locum shifts or extra work if you feel like you can cope with it. That's extremely important. And the final tip that I would say is, medicine is an amazing career and it's extremely fulfilling, but it does have a dark side, and it is becoming more and more prevalent amongst us as junior doctors. So definitely look after yourself as number one, and keep going, because the career that you will have, you'll become a better doctor for it, and a better doctor for it for your patients if you are to vocalise whenever you're feeling burnout or whenever you're feeling like you need to take a break. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to me today. I hope you've learned a little bit. My social media is at Dania Al-Tamimi _. So yeah, you can reach out to me through Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. And I'm very open to chatting with any of you, whether that be medical students, people thinking of applying to medicine, junior doctors, or anything that you've said that you would like to learn more about. So if you have any questions, please do get in contact with me directly. All right, bye, take care.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Aziza Sise. I'm an NHS GP, a GP educator, an honorary senior clinical lecturer, a host, a speaker. So today I wanted to focus on women's health, gynae health, and what we can do.